All right, thank you all for attending this week. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. Just want to give everybody a little time. We're going to go right into the trustee powers this week and answer a lot of questions that people have, even if they have a court case or if they have a case that is out of court or a case that could pop up at some point in court or out of court. That's what we're going to be talking about today to kind of fully explain the whole purpose of even doing any of this information. I know a lot of people get bogged down on taxes because they believe that's the only thing this is about. But we're going to break down how it's not just taxes, it's a lot of different additional things that you must understand and do. And taxes is very important, don't get me wrong, but you have to go past those levels. There's 5 levels that I'll be talking about that you all are supposed to go through today, but at the end of the day, we have to basically know what we're doing. So I'll be explaining how you can know what you're doing while you're doing a lot of this information. So just give us a little bit of time, just about another 2 minutes to kind of give everybody a chance to get in. And I'll be pulling up the screen in just a few on some of the things that I expect everybody to already have that I had to have as well. And just give about another minute. All right, so we're in live and we're going to go right into our information for this week. And our goal is to figure out how to manage everything that we have, which is important because the world corporations or the world corporate body that they have in place right now is going to try to take over your stuff if you don't do this. I've been learning this myself. I had never learned this before until recently because I had to figure it out. I think back in 2019 when I dealt with a plethora of cases and court matters as well as regular life matters, such as whatever we're dealing with on a day-to-day base is a life matter. So I'll be explaining today how we're not supposed to overthink or underthink the knowledge or information that we're dealing with because this is a focus or a patience. I'm gonna start saying patience is actually focus. So if you have patience, that means you have focus. And if you have focus, this means you have patience. Like I say, a lot of this information is difficult to focus on with a lot of things going on around us. They're doing this on purpose. So if some people are asking, well, why is it so hard? Why are they making it so difficult? Why, when I ask people these questions about things, they don't understand. I go to the courthouse, I go to the attorneys, I go all these different people. Why is this so difficult? Why is this so hard? Well, I want to explain to you today that it's not difficult or hard if we do this, what we see on the screen. So on the screen, it tells you you're not trying to fix anything. Don't get out there and try to fix the world. Don't try to fix all of your problems right here. Because if you try to do this, you're going to overthink and you're going to probably make multiple mistakes like I did because I did the same thing. I violated what this diagram said. I tried to do whatever I could do to try to think my way and fix it myself and think I can write up better than attorneys or whatever it is. So I just figured out as time went on, I had to draw back from the way I was thinking. So as you see on the screen, it says, I do not fix my problems. I fix my thinking. Then problems fix themselves. That's an amazing quote that I seen. As I say back, you see the date on this. I seen this back in 2020. So I was dealing with this back in 2019, 2020. I was having some difficulties trying to understand a trust. Just simple, a trust. How do I trust myself? How do I trust people around me? That is what this is mainly going to begin as a topic of discussion today. And if you have your mic unmuted, please mute your mic if you have any feedback. And if you want, at any point, anybody wants to explain anything, we'll be able to explain things as we go. So as you see right here, I had to fix the way I was thinking about this. And ever since I fixed that, that created a way of me doing this so much easier. Now, I have a college education. I graduated high school, all that stuff. But even with all this college information and knowledge, and even understanding the streets, because I got the street smarts too. Somebody say, well, you got the book smarts, but you don't got the street smarts. So I got the street smarts and I got the book smarts. And none of those things got me to the point that I am right now. The only thing that got me to the point right now, I'm going to explain to you all in just a few, is me understanding my position of handling all of my business. What I mean by business, I'm talking about my affairs, I'm talking about my legal matters, I'm talking about my personal matters. I'm speaking of all things, right? So I've never left any room open for anybody else in the corporation, which I'll tell you soon, in the corporate body, to handle problems for me. So then I'll get into what our main goal and purpose of today is, to talk about how you're supposed to take your power back. Now, I know this may seem like a recap, that some of us may have heard this many times, where I say you got to take your power back from the state. You got to take your power back from the federal government. You got to take your power back from all those local authorities. That is correct. And I'm saying all of them. Everything that you can think of as somebody or any entity having power. So if we give them power, they have power. If I take back their power, then I have the power. That's all I'm saying. The I, the me, the you. All of us have power. The only thing different about me is I've been practicing this a little bit longer than some of us have trained in this knowledge, because this is brand new knowledge. So don't think you can find this anywhere else, because I did my research too. I was trying to search and find other people, other groups, other things, and I couldn't find them. They never would talk about this information the way I'm going to explain today. So you have to do this yourself. Nobody can do this for you. That's the first step. Once we overcome that, now we can get to the next steps. So today, you're going to activate your trustee powers. And when you activate your trustee powers, this is your fastest route to access your treasury. And it happened to me so fast when I did it that I was shocked. I was amazed. This happened back in 2019. And when I was able to understand what I did, I had to backtrack and break down all of the details and all of the steps. So that is what we're going to talk about today. You're going to learn about how to activate your powers. Today, we will discuss how to activate your trustee powers as prescribed in a executed revocable living trust. Now, we say revocable living trust on purpose because we are in the land of the living. We are in no means looking at an irrevocable trust or a corporate trust, because those trusts are not living. Right? We have plenty of research and knowledge. I have AI now, so you can't out explain something that the AI says doesn't make sense. So at this point, we already know if you're living, you have a living trust. This is it. Not just a living trust, you have a living revocable trust, because I can revoke the trust at any time. I can make changes. I can update it. I can make mistakes. That's the great thing about the living revocable trust. I can make mistakes. And when I make my mistakes, I can correct myself and I can get better. If you got a trust that you can't correct yourself and get better, then I don't think you all have a trust. That won't be a trust. That would be something different. That'll be something called an antitrust. That'll be something against your trust, against you. So these are things we're going to talk. They do go to the spiritual level as well as the mental and the physical. So I'm giving you all three levels on purpose because that's what they're doing to you out there in the corporate world. They're throwing the spiritual, they're throwing the mental, and they're throwing the physical. So I'm going to give y'all my first diagram today to kind of give us an intro to what level I am saying that you need to start at. So do not start at the bottom. I'm giving you all the knowledge to start at the top. So let's go. All right. So this is your first court. At any time that y'all are supposed to be communicating, you're supposed to be in Article 1 courts. And I researched this right on the internet. So y'all can do the same thing if you want to find out where you start. So if you want to deal with a courts and you want to deal with winning all criminal or civil matters, you need to understand court. Because you will at some point in your life deal with a civil or a criminal matter, God forbid, criminal. But most of the time, if you get a ticket, I hate to tell you, when the police pulled y'all over and they gave you a ticket, they did not see it as civil, it's criminal. So when you don't show up to court, it's called FTA, failure to appear. They will then issue something called a capias. See, they say warrant to y'all out here, but in their world, they call them capias. So that's the last thing you want to see in your name or on your record, right? So I say criminal and civil because all of us at some point got to be forgiven in all those realms. So this is your first diagram for you all to see the power that you already have. Like you've had this power since you were born. We all have the power. I'm just showing you how to do it, the way I was able to show myself how to do it. I can't make you do this, but I can show you how you can make sure you can get it done. So your first court, y'all supposed to be dealing with is United States Tax Court. That's why I was telling you in the beginning, you need to have your taxes. That's the most powerful thing you can ever do in this entire system. If you want to call this a system or a corporation, it's taxes, tax court. So you see, Article 1 is tribunal, and it is a federal court, right? So the federal court organized under Article 1 of the United States Constitution. They can be Article 1 courts, also called legislative courts, set up by Congress to review agency decisions. Okay, as you can see, this is an important court for you all to know about because they make all of the decisions over the rest of the courts that you all most of the time are dealing with. Now, has anybody ever heard of how to deal with a Article 1 court? Have you ever been able to do this? And that's what we'll be able to talk about to pick our brains today so they don't get you all on the lowest court that you can think about, which most of the time we are always in some form dealing with the lowest court. So as I say today, we will discuss how to activate your trustee powers, what to do, what to say, when to act, what to do, what to say, when to act. How do you do this? What you will do is always say and act. Now listen to what I'm saying. What you will do is always to say and act as a sole proprietor who is also a trustee of a revocable living trust. That is what you're doing all the time. And I'm going to show you how this looks because it may need a visual to what it looks like if you are saying you're a sole proprietor and you're also a trustee of a revocable living trust. It's more than documents too. It can't just be you pulling out a document of saying I sent it in. And it says no forms in the government will work until you have properly done all things as required and prescribed in your state law. That's right. So the state is the gatekeeper. If you want to know who the gatekeeper is the state. The state has been gatekeeping your documents since you were a baby. And you all know this. So the first thing that we got to do is take the power back from the state. right? The state government has power over you, I, or me right now until I exert that power that I am to have over myself, right? This isn't nothing new. I need y'all to have full confidence as if you're fighting the final boss. And that final boss is, you're going to find out that final boss is really going to be yourself. So you got to overcome these things at all times in any way that you can by being able to have this power. So let me show you this diagram and say, pull this up without messing up anything. May have shown this before in the past, but let me go and show y'all this first. And the first I want to show you is what is a sole proprietorship. So I need you all to get into your ship, and this is your ship. This is your ship right here. So you got to sail your own ship. You can't be in other people's ships. This is mental. This is all mental. So you need to be a sole proprietorship. Let's scroll up and see what you're doing. A sole proprietorship is a business that is owned and operated by a what? A single person. Mm-hmm. So that means you. You're the single person. You're the main one. Nobody can be above you. With no legal separation between the owner and their business. That's what I was telling you. I had to handle my own business. So when I did this, I began to go into my sole proprietorship. That's the ship I began to get in so I can sail on that ship. I'm sailing on the ship. Though a sole proprietorship is simpler than other business structures. Here we go. So I didn't say this was the most simplest thing. This is what the government told you. The government said the most simplest way to do business is the sole proprietorship. It comes with some major drawbacks, of course. Earnings from a sole proprietorship are taxed along with the business owner's personal taxes. Now, all right. Now, I showed you all how you can overcome that, and it's not a bad thing if you pay your taxes. And I'll be talking about that later on in our discussion about there's nothing wrong with y'all paying off your debts. It ain't nothing wrong with you paying your taxes. So all those who are teaching this, they are against you. They are getting you into an antitrust. They're anti-trusting you because they're telling you to do something against yourself. So the earnings from your sole proprietor are supposed to go on your tax return. That's what they're saying in the most simplest words on this last line here. You put it on your personal taxes. All right. So I wanted to scroll in and show you this sole proprietorship that you got to jump on first so that you can be distinguished as doing and saying and acting at all times. This is why I have so much confidence because I've been practicing this, y'all, for about 3, 4, 5 years. And I have not lost. I have not failed. Even if I'm seemingly looking like I'm losing, I'm still winning because I'm in my sole proprietorship. I'm not in a corporation structure. You see what I'm saying? So if you're in a corporate structure, then you're probably going to feel a little bit less confident. You're going to feel as if someone has some type of power. So let's keep going. All right. So this is my diagram here to explain to you how over time I needed to take that power. I have to take this power. I take the power back from the state that I'm in. Right. I start off with my birth certificate state. None of these forms will work until you understand and you know that you are a sole proprietorship. So that's the first things first. Just for those who have maybe executed the documents and didn't understand they were a sole proprietor and what they were to do as a sole proprietor. So as a sole proprietor, I'm taking over the name, as you can see right here. The name is the name on the birth certificate, which is also the name on the social security card. So I have both names, whatever way that name is spelled, I put it right there, the way they spelled that name, and they put it in all capital letters for all those people who get into the all caps name. So the all caps name, if you want to say that, we don't like to say that. We just say that's your legal name. So your legal name, the way it's legally written on the legal documents, is the name that you have to take over. It's actually, it's not even your name. I'm gonna start saying that now, because until you take over the name, it ain't even your name. It ain't even your name, because these people can say what they want about your name. They can put stuff on paper about your name. They can do what they think is about your name until you take over this name. So that's what I had to do. I had to take over that name, and I've made sure I put my thumbprint next to it to make sure they can remember it's me. So I put my seal, and I made sure that I had my thumbprint, just like when they thumbprint you in when you get into their fingerprinting system. So I'm proofing myself into the system of making sure that I have the power. That's the reason why someone say, "Why you got that thumbprint up there?" Because that thumbprint is identifying who it is that is taking over the power. All right, so you got to be coached into this. So those who try to copy it and try to do it without us, that's fine. But you may not fully understand the full understanding of these documents. All right, so I showed you this is something I did back in 2019. And when I got into this knowledge of the powers, I learned the powers were granted to me not through this document. So I was wanted to tell anybody that the document that I did right here did not grant me these powers. So before this, as I go into what granted me these powers, what gave me the full power to even do this document, I have to show you the trust. So I'm walking you all backwards on purpose because I see that some of us may jump ahead really fast and may feel that we're missing something. So this is the thing that you're missing. This has always been the same thing since the beginning. And like I say, if you don't choose to pick up that document every week and look at it or feel it or touch it or at least review it, then you're not going to feel confident in any of this information. I'm telling you. I did the same thing. I was putting it in the background and I was thinking I can just, you know, I can just skate through it. So even myself, I wasn't even exempt. I had to take a look at my own docs. I had to make sure I'm reviewing them. I'm inspecting them. I place them on the record. I do whatever it takes. And sometimes if I had a case, I would have to place the document on the record again. So for those who say, well, I did that already, why do I got to do it again? Well, you should be practicing. You should be practicing at all times. So this is the same document that we're saying gave me this power. Like I was telling you earlier, that I became a sole proprietor once I executed this revocable trust. So when the IRS or these people communicate with me, I'm telling them straight up, look, I'm a sole proprietor. All right. So that's my confidence. My confidence is I'm in my sole proprietor. But if I'm in anything else, then I don't really know how you out here. I don't even know how you out here doing anything. Right. So yeah, the documents need to be done, but it's not the documents that work. It's you that make the document work. You got to make the document work. Right. I mean, I can pass this for free to somebody I know. I can give it to my family member right now. I'll even try to do everything, type it up for them. All that extra stuff. I tried that. I've been there, done that. That doesn't work. It doesn't work. You know why? Because they don't want to do their own work. You got to work your document. Nobody's trying to work your stuff. You think I'm going to go to school for you? Who's going to sign up and take your test? That's right. That's exactly what I'm saying. You think I'm going to sign up and take your test for you for free? I'm already taking my own test, right? So this is the same way y'all should be thinking about stuff with your people. Everybody should be on this stuff. This is serious matters. This is your business. This is your life, right? Your living. So yeah, if you ain't looking at this document every week, like I be thinking about, because I miss looking at my document about a couple of weeks. I'm like, man, I can see the difference. I'm not even looking at my stuff. So yeah, you execute this same document right here. See my thumbprint I was talking about? Yeah, I got it in color. It's in color on purpose. So I can see that I'm living, right? It's living documents. I got the color seal. I got the instrument. I got the signatures. My trustee, I have my wife. She's my trustee. I'm a trustee first. And the grantor. So the grantor's name has been taken over through these operations. So I'm saying this to show you the foundation to got you to the next step, which was that power of attorney document on the screen previous that I showed you that I took back from the state. So I did all this in order of operation. So the order of operation, like in math, they taught it in math. They told y'all the parentheses, exponentials, multiplication, division, addition, and the last one I think is subtraction. All right. That's your order of operations. So the same game goes with your trust. So I have all my trustees and I have my witnesses of me executing this stuff and doing this myself. I'm not with the United States. Look at that. It says it right here. It says executed without the United States. So I don't got to claim no sovereign citizen stuff. I got to claim being sovereign and, you have no jurisdiction and all that extra stuff. I don't get into that. Y'all can watch those videos if you want to, but that's not going to get you nowhere. Right. So are you doing the stuff without the United States? Can you live without the government? Let's say they deny you, right? They deny you. Can you still survive? That's why we're saying executed without United States, because we don't want to depend on United States. If United States goes down, I'm going down. So yeah, this is the law. This isn't something I created in my own mind, in my own ways. It is in the law. It's called unsworn declaration. So if y'all want to see where that law is found, I'll even go to it just to kind of amuse, which I don't know amuse. I'm not even gonna say I'm gonna amuse. I will just begin to prove all things. So I'm gonna go to unsworn. That's why we don't swear in court. So that goes to why I always talk about unsworn declarations. And y'all need to be able to do this stuff off the top of your head, like it's a quiz or it's a exam, just like when you was in college or you was in high school. So the same things, all of us are going to be held to the same standards and conditions as all men. So right here it says an unsworn declaration is a written statement made under penalty of perjury, meaning that I'm not lying. I ain't making up no lie. I ain't telling no fables. I ain't creating no problems for myself. Made under penalty of perjury. All that sovereign stuff, we don't get into that. Because you don't even know. You filling out somebody else's document and putting your name on there, and all of a sudden you know all these laws. All right, be careful. It says under penalty of perjury that can legally replace a notarized affidavit. That means that I don't got to depend on the notary. I was explaining this to somebody in the past. They kept on saying get notarized, notarized. Look, I do not depend on the notary. I am using the notary or sworn statement in the many U.S. legal contexts. So an unsworn declaration allows an individual to make a legally binding statement without appearing before a notary or other official. That's right. So I'm coming in first, appearing within my own mind, my own sound mind, and competency. That's what they say. They prove you're competent, right? So I just prove I was competent before they even got to the front door. It says the United States, this is governed by, here you go. So y'all want to go to their codes and their laws and their statutes. Here we go. 28 USC subsection 1746, which permits a person to declare in writing that the information is true under penalty of perjury. The declaration must include a specific phrase such as, I declare under penalty of perjury that the foregoing is true and correct, executed on date and your signature to be valid. All right, so I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole on that. I just wanted to prove to you some of your powers that you already got before you even walked in the door. All right, so if you don't believe and know this before you walk in the door, then this is why some of these laws or these codes are some way going through. So like I say, we don't swear. You can't swear. If you all remember our quizzes and our exams, and you know the biblical principles tells you not to swear, right? Swear not at all. Let me type it in for you. Not at. There we go. Jump right into your King James Version. Here we go. Matthew 5:34. It says, instructs believers. Look at that. So now if you believe in yourself, this is more about not being selfish. But if you believe in yourself, I'm being spiritual and mental right now. Yes, offenses will come. We will be offended. Some of us, I was offended. I was offended when I found out I was doing this. It says instructs believers. If you believe, to avoid swearing, oaths. It ain't got nothing about you cussing and, cussing at people. Talking about cussing. That's not swearing. This is what it is right here. It's your swearing right here. To avoid